The Wemby World Takeover is upon us. The New York Knicks are back in the NBA Finals, and somewhere, Adam Silver is still being hosed down by ice-cold water because this is the NBA Finals matchup the league could have only dreamed of. We've got a brand new episode of Modern Flame coming at you right now.
Treat of a series. We got a treat of a series in Western Conference. Wow. I mean, we haven't talked in a bit, my man. We need.
I know.
Are we breaking this down? Are we going? Are we going through the whole playoff? Where are we? Where are we taking this ship?
So, TBD. We have not really planned this episode out. I'm kind of prepared to do like a full Game 7 breakdown, like we do on Campfire with a full game. We could do whole playoffs, but I want to start big picture actually. Right before we got on, I just jotted some notable Game 7s down. Game 7s of the NBA Campfire era, so 2000 to now. In my mind, there are, including last night, and I'm going to put it into this category, 9 truly great Game 7s of the Campfire era. And then I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runners-up. So basically I have a list of 15 Game 7s, and I want you to temperature check me and make sure that I'm not getting ahead of myself here. And maybe this isn't the right time to do it. We're like 12 hours removed from the game. There was a point in the fourth quarter where you sent me a text message that said, "This is like cocaine for NBA fans." You're right. I do not need to be drinking my second cup of coffee right now. I woke up just wired.
Yeah.
So here's my list. As honorable mentions, I have Pistons Spurs from 2005 Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Heat Celtics from 2022. Spurs Mavs 2006, Spurs Clippers 2015, Cavs Celtics 2018, and Raptors Sixers 2019. Those are the ones that didn't quite make the cut. They're like one tier lower than the very tippy top tier.
So just to kind of, the Celtics Heat, that was the Jimmy took the wing three at the end of the game, and it was basically like, I'm exhausted and I can't do this anymore, so just I'm gonna shoot this shot. That was, I loved, because that was also 3-0, right? Boston came.
That was the next year.
Okay.
That was the next year when Miami went up 3-0.
And they actually won that game because Tatum got hurt in Game 7. You're right.
Yep. And
okay.
Miami kind of won that game comfortably too.
Yeah.
2022.
Yep.
The year before, the Game 7 was in Miami. And like you said, Butler missed that pull-up 3 late.
Yep. That
could have put Miami ahead with like 10 seconds left.
Yep. And that was conference finals, right?
Yep.
So that's close. That's right there. I honestly, why don't I really remember how good of a series the 05 Pistons Spurs?
So that wasn't a great series.
Okay.
And for I probably should have clarified. I'm talking Game 7s only.
Only. Okay. So just the game itself. Okay.
Yeah. That Pistons Spurs Game 7 kind of overshadowed by Game 5. Game 5 was the Ori game when he scored like 21 in the fourth quarter in overtime. I just had to put it on there because it's an NBA Finals Game 7.
Absolutely.
and it's like a classic sort of mid-2000s rock fight. But I think it's on that second tier. So, top tier, I have Lakers Blazers 2000, which was our first game that we covered for Campfire. Lakers Kings 2002. Lakers Celtics 2010 NBA Finals.
Talk about a rock fight.
That was an ugly rock fight, but in the most beautiful packaging you could possibly wrap it up in. Heat Celtics 2012. That's the game after the LeBron 45-point game. Heat Spurs 2013. Warriors Thunder 2016. The game after the Clay
game.
Game 6. Cavs Warriors 2016, which we obviously covered. And Warriors Rockets 2018, which was the Rockets missing, what ended up, 27 threes in a row?
Yeah.
So I put those games in a tier above the other ones just in terms of anticipation for the game, quality of play, historical stakes, all of that. But this is a roundabout way of saying I felt like last night's game belongs in that top tier. I would agree. I think it's indisputable.
No, yeah, I would agree. And it was right from the jump. Like, it wasn't like it was a slow burn and then it got really good in the late third, early fourth, and had a good ending. It was, you had these like moments. And that's what you look in basketball for a basketball game. You look for the moments. That's what you'll remember. And I feel like you had a bunch of moments throughout the game. Like, you had the Wemby jumps out and is super aggressive early on, and the Spurs are hitting a bunch of shots, and it's like, oh my God, this team's not scared. That's a moment. And then in the second quarter, you had Shea, like, no, I'm the MVP. We're the champs. He scores 17. Like, that's a moment. And then, I mean, throughout the fourth quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, that was just, whew. And then the end of the game.
I almost needed to be hosed down at that point.
Yeah. It was weird, too, because, like, I mean, I know he's your guy, but Keldon Johnson had been struggling the entire series. I think he had a putback dunk earlier in the game, but his shot, I don't remember him hitting a three in the series. And he hit two big ones. And then I thought Wallace was just unbelievable for OKC in the fourth.
Great fourth quarter. So, look, like I said, I have no idea what we want to do with this podcast. It could be like a full game breakdown. We could go guy by guy.
No, I don't want to do that because I want to pay some respect to my 99 Knicks, and then I want to jump on the Knicks a little bit too, and then I want to preview the series a little bit. So
I'd love to.
Let's stick to the game. We'll kind of go abbreviated breakdown of Game 7. And then maybe let's expand out, talk a little bit about the overall playoffs, and then we could preview the finals, if that works for you.
That's perfect. So
going into the game, what were your thoughts going into yesterday's Game 7?
Well, I believe I texted you. I predicted a 107-100 Thunder win. You correctly went with the Spurs. I commend you for that. I'm regretful that I didn't. I was afraid that I was putting my fandom ahead of what logically I was kind of seeing playing out. But I think what we learned is this Spurs team just sort of defies logic. And it starts with a player who defies logic.
Yes.
And, Wemby is obviously the story here. He's the Western Conference Finals MVP. He's the Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's pretty safe to say that with how that series played out, he's the best player in the world right now. I think he took that title. But it's not just him.
No.
This team defies logic because you have Steph Castle in year 2, who a UConn Husky national champion, who is just the toughest motherfucker in that series. You have Dylan
Dude wanted
Harper.
to fight Caruso 18 times during the whole...
Oh my God, he wanted all the smoke. He was ready. So you have Castle, you have Dylan Harper, who, rookie point guard, coming off the bench, just looking like a polished 5-year pro.
Oh, man.
Like growing up before our eyes.
Big body point guard, too.
What's big body point guard, physical, unafraid of the moment, like taking real big, meaningful, high stake shots in this game, and not at all fazed by the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They are the youngest team to make the NBA Finals since 1977. It defies logic. It does not make sense, but then you watch this Game 7, and it all does make sense.
It's funny, though, because I think the NBA hit the jackpot in more than one way. Obviously, you have Wemby explode to the scene. He's going to be the face of the league for the next 20 years. He's currently, I think this series, you said he's without it, like he's the best player in the world. I might argue that. But I will promise that he's the face. Like, he is the face of the league now. But the reason why is, going into last night, it was 1-2. It's Wemby and Shea. I don't know if Wemby outplayed Shea. And I think it's great storytelling for the league, because you have this Thunder team come up, and they are set up for success for the next 8 years. We were thinking they were the best team ever early in the year.
We were talking if they could get to 75 wins.
Yep. And Wemby and the young Spurs played so good this series that I think the narrative is just going to be like how great this young team is and how they, defied logic and all of that. And there's not going to be the emphasis on, like, J-Dub played 10 minutes in this series. Mm-hmm. A.J. Mitchell didn't play in this series. So, like, if you're OKC, you could be like, no, like, we were just injured. Like, we are still the best team. And I think that rivalry is just going to be there for the next 5 to 10 years. Wemby hates everyone on OKC. He looked at Jared McCain last night like he literally wanted to kill him. You asked me if he thought that if he would kill Chet if he could. The answer is yes.
If he could get away with it, I think he would.
Yeah, and I think OKC could go in a couple different directions this offseason, but they were right there. They're injured, and I thought Shea answered the bell last night.
Shea was fantastic last night. That was definitely the best game that he played all series long, considering the stakes and just how difficult San Antonio was making life for him. One of the better games that I've seen him play just over the last 4 years. And you're so right about Oklahoma City. And I think that a lot of people will look at the Thunder this summer, and we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but I think they'll look at OKC this summer and wonder, like, what's their big move?
Mm-hmm.
And I would zag to that for the exact reasons that you outlined. They're still young. J-Dub played 10 minutes. A.J. Mitchell didn't play. And they were right there with San Antonio. Now, the Spurs are only going to improve because Castle will probably get better, Harper will get better, Wemby will get better. They'll keep the rest of this supporting cast intact for next year at the very least. But is there a move that, like, definitively makes OKC more formidable than they are right now? I don't see it. I mean,
I got one for you that I heard.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's gonna look bad coming from me. I don't think Chet played very well this series, and I don't know
if... That's an understatement.
Yeah, I don't know. He can't deal with the physicality. Hartenstein did play well, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep him around with Cap. I did hear that on one of my NBA, it was either the Low Post or I believe it was the Hoop Collective, and they were saying that they're starting to flirt around with trading up in the draft to get Cam Boozer. And it would just be draft picks. It would be like there's 2 first-round picks this year for Boozer. That's
interesting to me.
That would be something that you don't trade any of your stars, but you still make a little bit of a splash without really going too much into the future. I mean, you're not trading away Chet or J-Dub.
I hadn't heard that.
No?
Boozer. I like that, though. The one thing I've been hearing is that they're tied to Mara from Michigan. Just like bring in a little more size, 7'3", like.
The only thing that I found interesting, and look, when you lose to a team in the NBA, or when you feel like there is a team that's the best, we've seen it with the Warriors. I think we actually saw it a lot with the Celtics, and we saw it with the Nuggets a little bit in the West. Teams start to kind of create a roster where they feel like they could compete against that type of team. I don't think you could play 2 bigs against the Spurs. You need spacing, because if Wemby is guarding a big and you keep him around the basket, it's impossible to get any sort of like rim attack. Like, you need him to be on a shooter, and Chet couldn't hit shots. And when they played Hartenstein, trouble with that name. I felt we
all have a name like that.
I feel like Wemby was just roaming in the paint, and I mean, it gives, and that's why I'm really interested in the finals, and I don't want to get there too soon, but just going back to OKC, I do think they need to tweak their roster a little bit, but I don't think they need to make any like major changes, because like, we talked about, they were injured, they were close, they were right there, so.
Yeah, moves around the margins, or if you don't need to like hack at your supporting cast in a really major way, like building through the draft, if it's moving draft assets to move up to get Boozer or getting a Daymara, like you bring that guy in and he could be an instant contributor. That's great. That's exactly what you need to do. And your point about the kind of team you put out there with Wemby on the floor is correct. And the one stat that I heard going into Game 7 that illustrates that better than I think anything is in Games 1 through 6, Shea averaged 4.5 shots in the paint per game. In the regular season, he averaged 9 per game. So that's cut in half against San Antonio. And last night, he was a little more effective with it, and his mid-range was falling, and he was getting to his spots a little bit better. I don't know if that's just him rising to the occasion.
They played Jalen Williams, and they played small a lot last night. They didn't really play Chet with Hartenstein. I change his name every time I say it. But they didn't really...
Sometimes we throw a K in there. Okay.
There should be a K.
Some of the European names are a little interesting to pronounce sometimes. Yeah. But you're right. Hartenstein only played 20 minutes last night. Big Jalen Williams played 25. So that is part of it. You don't have that guy shrinking the floor. And credit to Hartenstein, because there were a few times throughout the series where like those moonball floaters.
I thought he played better than Chet.
Oh, he definitely played better.
I think that he played better than Chet, but you like kind of gotta ride Chet because he's your all-star and he's your guy, and he could shoot. Like, he can stretch the floor when he's playing to his capabilities, but no, in this series, he just didn't have it. That boogeyman, man, he scared him. He played scared the entire series. He played scared.
He plays intimidated by Wemby. Like, I don't even know that we could call it a rivalry anymore.
Well, that's what Wemby said. Wemby said in the beginning of the series.
Say that again?
I said Wemby said that in the beginning of the series. They asked him about it, and he said, I don't really consider it a rivalry because we don't compare as players. Like, that's... I mean, I hope I didn't misquote him. It was very something close to that, though.
That is something Wemby would say. He is very candid about it, and that's one of the many things I love about him. But Chet averaged 10.7 rebounds per game. It was 4 points, 4 rebounds last night. And Reggie and Jamal Crawford were just disgusted by the performance.
2 shots.
2 shots. And he made the first shot of the game for the Thunder. That was the only field goal of the game that he made.
That's why they got to do something, but also you hope that he gets better. So I guess, we talked a little bit about the Spurs overall, talked about the Thunder overall. Game by game, because I felt like after game 5, the Thunder had it in the bag. Where do you think in the series there was that turning point? Was it just game 6 when Wemby comes out and hits, 2 bombs, has a nice layup, and it's just okay, he's just going to take this over, and the Spurs gain confidence in that closeout game? Or did they always have kind of control of the series?
So going into Game 6, I kind of felt like Game 6 was like a 50-50 game, and I had a slight lean towards San Antonio. If you really look at it, just in terms of who was ahead for the most amount of time and overall point differential at the end, San Antonio was the better team.
Yeah.
You sent me a message late in the game last night. They're too much for them. They are. The Spurs were 8-4 against the Thunder this year, including the regular season, the play-in tournament, the playoffs. The rest of the NBA beat the Thunder 14 times. The Spurs beat them 8.
Wow.
So, they are the antidote, and I think that Oklahoma City's health issues aside, I think the Spurs will go in next year probably as the favorite to win the West for good reason. They just seem to be the team that is the antidote to what OKC is great at. OKC, Shea lives in the paint. He gets to his spots. The Spurs take that away. They play with a certain amount of size and physicality that bother a lot of teams. It doesn't bother San Antonio. They just have the answers for all the questions that have flummoxed the rest of the NBA for the last 2.5 years. The Spurs just have all those answers.
And can I give a shout out to someone here, an unsung hero? And he's, obviously they went out and they maxed him and they traded for him, but I thought a big kind of underlining story is Fox. And you don't really see it necessarily in his box score, but if you look at what OKC did even last year when they would get in these scoring droughts, is they would just turn teams over and score in transition, and that's what they did in even game 1 and game 2. That's why they were close in game 1 and won game 2. And then when Fox came back, I felt like they really did a nice job of taking care of the ball. Castle had 20 turnovers in the first 2 games, and I don't have the stats, but I bet he may have only had close to 20 the rest of the series once Fox got back. So I think that was really, really important. And also, again, we're going to get better. Castle's going to get better. Harper's going to get better. I don't think you're going to be able to turn those guys over as much going forward. But just wanted to give Fox a shout out because he didn't have a great scoring series. I thought he looked a little bit more spry last night, but overall his offense wasn't great, but I really thought he did a nice job of taking care of the ball.
He answered the bell so many times last night. Just timely buckets. Shea had that huge second quarter, and OKC goes on that run, and Fox just had a couple buckets that take the crowd out of it a little bit, steady the ship. Same thing in the fourth quarter. He had a step back 3. He was consistently hitting that little like turnaround in the paint.
Yep.
And to your point about Castle, you said 20 turnovers the first 2 games. You said you didn't think he had 20 the remainder of the series. He had 12 in games 3 through 7. So you're absolutely right. You take that burden off of Castle's shoulders, it frees him up to play a little bit more like
his position.
Yes, he's a shooting guard.
Yep.
And he was kind of thrust into a role with the injury to Fox and Harper not being totally healthy, where he had to play point guard, and he just hasn't had to do that. And you know, he aside from the turnovers, he was still productive those first 2 games.
Yeah,
playing his ass off, but you saw him get more comfortable throughout the series, and Fox is a big reason for that. You know, granted, Fox only played 5 games in this series. He didn't log huge minutes, 155, which was, it looks like the 6th most of any Spur, but he had only 7 turnovers in those 5
huge
games.
That's how OKC gets you, man. They do. Yeah. They really do. And we talked about it when we covered on Campfire. We covered Game 7. Their offense does have a tendency to go stagnant because they really just, they do pick and rolls and they do ISOs with Shea, and there's really not a bunch of offensive creation outside of him. J-Dub could give you that. He's obviously out. I thought AJ Mitchell did a nice job with that this year. He was out. Shout out my boy Jared McCain. I thought he did a nice job. But their offense could go stagnant, and they really rely on turning you over. And the Spurs did an awesome job of when they did turn the ball over. It felt like they were like dead ball turnovers, and they weren't touchdowns. So that was important. But yeah, I mean, the Spurs, I just thought they really showed growth with the way they took care of the ball.
And another thing with the Spurs too, you're right about like dead ball turnovers, but their transition defense was also,
my man Luke Cornett, blocked by Cornett. I think it was almost the same thing.
Trying to get in that Mike Breen, like blocked by James. Maybe the biggest play of the game.
It probably was, honestly.
Like that was a 4-point swing. It was 6 at the time. Could have been cut to 4 with Wemby on the bench with 5 fouls with 5 minutes left. But
who would have thought that in that series, the biggest play of the series probably is 2 white guys laboring towards the rim. Like, just no athleticism, really. Hartenstein, like, barely, I mean, he did a great defensive play, almost lost the ball getting to the basket, and then you got Big Luke chasing him down. Just pure athleticism.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I mean, biggest play of the game last night. But that's the point. Like, you think of the Spurs as a great defensive team, obviously, because Wemby anchors it all. But, like, that play by Cornett, I feel like there were, like, chase down blocks that Castle and Vassell had. Like, all these guys just play so fucking hard, and half of transition defense is just run back.
Mm-hmm.
And there were never, like, it seemed like there were very few times when the Thunder just, like you said, it turned into a touchdown where there was no one back. Like, the Spurs always had somebody sprinting back, making things just a little difficult to muck up a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 or something like that. Like, I'm so excited I punched my microphone. I have a tendency to do that. This microphone gets in the way. I need something like hanging over.
That would be cool. Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, I need something coming down from my ceiling. I wonder how much it would cost to cut a hole into my ceiling. I don't think Maria would be on board with that.
No.
Okay, where were we? We got a Mr. Kennedy reference. I was not expecting.
No, we were talking about turnovers and how OKC, really relies on that, and the Spurs grew up really during this finals, and we just wanted to give some recognition to our guy De'Aaron Fox, and that was a trade that When it happened, I was a little curious about it, and then I was even more curious about it when they drafted Harper. And I don't know um, if they get like the full 4 year benefit from it, just because I think Harper is going to be too good to not play him 32 minutes. Um, but it's paying off this year. It's I mean he steadied the ship. He's giving them that like veteran presence, and it definitely it worked out.
Do you think Castle and Harper are just big enough and physical enough where you could just say like, okay, we're gonna ride with those three guys. We're gonna play that because it feels like, especially as we get closer to talking about like a finals preview, it feels like this is a series against New York where they could play those three guys, either Vassell, Champagny, or Keldon Johnson as like the four, and Wemby is your five, and hold up just fine because I feel like Castle and Harper could both guard up a position. I mean, we've seen Castle just body Kevin Durant, and
Yeah,
like he could guard anybody.
I mean
And I feel like
Harper's
Harper,
he's built like a three. I mean that's
yeah,
yeah, they probably can, honestly. And Fox could shoot. He could kind of be like a spacer. So yeah, I mean, yes, I do think that they would be able to do that.
like
Now,
obviously,
does he get upset in 2 years when he's just in the corner? You know, I don't know. But they could definitely play those three though.
can I make a case, and I wanted to bring this up at some point, that of why I think he might not get upset.
Sure.
Immediately after the game, when they're interviewing Wemby, when they give him the Western Conference Finals MVP trophy, he gets a question about his teammates. And his answer was, they don't even know how much I love them. That may be the most genuine and authentic answer I've heard from a player about his teammates in post-game comments. Is it possible that this Spurs team is just going to be like a historical anomaly, and all these guys are going to collectively realize, like, if we just take a little less money and accept like a slightly smaller role than we might be able to find elsewhere, we're just going to win 8 titles over the next 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's possible because I think we have a very unique superstar on our hands here for a lot of different reasons. He's obviously unique in the way he plays, but like he's unique because he has like all of the best qualities from like great players without a lot of their bad ones. Like he kind of has like a mix between Steph Curry and Kobe. He's got like that killer Kobe mindset where it's like, don't talk to me, I need to focus. Like I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock at night with Blu-ray glasses and like reading my books, and I take the All-Star game serious and I'm gonna win everything. But then he has like this Steph Curry where he's like, I love my teammates and I want to get them involved. And after one of the losses, he took the blame and was like, I need to get my teammates more involved. And it's like he's happy and joyful with them. He's not mean like Kobe was, but he's not like a jokester like It's crazy.
I actually I have this in my notes, and it's funny that you bring those two up because I have in my notes that it feels like he's pulled pieces of Steph, Kobe, LeBron, and Duncan.
Yeah.
Like I see bits of all of those guys in him, and it just so happens those are the four best players of the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So like great guys to pull from. You have 18 titles combined with those four guys. Like,
And you know
like,
what? I'm
lay.
sorry. I need to cut you off because I was wrong. Maybe, maybe, I don't know. Maybe, 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 maybe it's not just Wemby. Maybe it's the Spurs. Like I feel like
That's
maybe I don't give the Spurs organization enough credit. Like because maybe he's just Duncan. Like I said, he's like Kobe and he's like Steph, but maybe that's what Duncan was. Like, yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Think about it. Parker and Ginobili, there were times when those two guys could have looked at the situation and been like, I could be putting up bigger numbers. Ginobili was a six man his whole career, basically, and
Yeah.
like unanimously considered to be probably the third best shooting guard behind Kobe and Wade of
Yep.
that like 10-year stretch or 8-year stretch, whatever it was. So yes, clearly the Spurs organization is doing something correctly, but I do think Wemby is like a super special kind of superstar.
Yeah.
Because as you outlined, like there's bits of Kobe, there's bits of Steph. I look at his commitment to like how do I maximize myself in the off season in like a LeBron sort of light. Like LeBron never went and trained with monks, but LeBron is famous for like taking insane care of his body in the off season, and I feel like Wemby is similar in that regard. He's also someone like LeBron who was very famous, very young, with very high expectations right away. So, like, I see similarities between those two. And then Duncan's obvious. Like, not only same position, same franchise, both number one overall picks, but there's just like I'm going to put my hand on the back of your head and pull you in and hug you, and it's going to feel like I actually really love you and appreciate you, like Duncan did with Ginobili and Parker and whoever on those Spurs teams. I just feel like there's a chance that they've captured lightning in the bottle in a really, really special way. And I said it way back at the beginning of the season. I kind of look at Wemby as like Gen Z Bill Russell.
Yeah.
And you look at those Celtics teams, they had a prolonged run throughout the 60s where they win 9 titles in the 60s, 11 titles overall with Russell. And like 4 of those guys on that team they make the All NBA or the NBA 75th anniversary team simply because they're in that orbit, because they're all 7-time champions, and like you just are consistently putting yourself in the highest leverage games. Which, if you attach yourself to Wemby, that's gonna be your career over the next decade. Like maybe they have the right guys who will take a little less money and accept a slightly lesser role.
And do they even need to take less money? I think it's more the role. They'll be able to max those 3 guys out. Like they'll be able to take care of those 3. It's gonna turn into like, do Castle and Harper? Does one of them get annoyed with not being the primary ball handler, or does
I don't think Castle will.
I don't either, but that would be the only reason why I feel like they would break up. Because you have the superstar who's all about the team, he's all about the right things. You have the franchise, like, you have the money. It would just be, all right, we've won 4. I want to see if I could go out and do my own thing. I don't know if that would be the case by that time. I don't know if it would matter. Like, okay, we'll get someone else. It's not that big of a deal. But they're set up for that. Yeah. I mean, I could talk about the Spurs all day. Do you want to pivot to just like the playoffs? What would you rate the overall, now that we've come to the finals? What would you rate the overall playoff experience? I thought the first round was amazing. Like, the East was great in the first round. I don't know if they were great games, but I think
a lot of tight games.
We both fell in love with the Detroit Orlando series. It was a little bit more different for you because you had a rooting interest, but like, I was locked into the Cavs Raptors for kind of a similar reason. Like, kind of felt like any time the other team scored, it was like, oh boy, that might be the game.
Yeah.
So what would you overall rate the playoffs so far?
I mean, really, I would want to really dig in to just like find its place historically, and I haven't done that, unfortunately. I will say, like, I'm with you. I felt like round one was like a maybe like an A minus round one, like really high quality.
Got a good Lakers
Um,
Rockets series.
like, it seemed like, with the exception of Thunder Suns, every series kind of delivered in terms of entertainment value.
Yeah.
Um, round two was actually not quite as competitive as I think we expected it would be, and that's partially due to some matchups that just broke a little differently. Like I think that we had probably pegged Boston to be in round two, and we
Mhm.
had pegged Denver to be in round two. And if you put Boston in Philly's place, and we just say like, okay, Denver somehow got the 4 seed, and they're playing OKC in round two, like we could be looking at it a whole lot different.
Mhm.
Um,
Or it's just, I mean, and I know obviously it's sports, you can't change it, but like if you have a healthy Luca or a
right.
healthy, even like a healthy Embiid,
Yes.
like that makes it a little bit different too.
Yes, definitely. Um, and then we get this conference final series here in the West where game one is an instant classic, game seven is an instant classic, games 2 through 6, we talked about this offline, I felt like were really good for like 2.5 quarters,
Yep.
all of those games. um, but yeah, it's been fantastic. I think it has been an indicator of how healthy the NBA as a league is. And like you just look at TV ratings, I've seen a number of stories about how this is the most watched name around in like modern NBA playoff history. So people are tuning in. Part of that is obviously the two teams left standing,
Mm-hmm.
where it's Wembanyama, who is sort of this like mythical kind of is this like the lineage of the best player in the world, goes from Russell to Wilt to Kareem to Magic and Bird to MJ to Kobe and Duncan to LeBron to Curry and now to Wemby. Like he's the guy who it seems like is going to take
Yep.
that torch. And then you have the Knicks, who we haven't gotten to yet, who have put together this deliriously fun team that is just playing absolutely beautiful basketball and smoking teams in the
Yep.
Eastern Conference. Like, I don't, and the East is the East. It's still the lesser conference, but I don't think we can overlook how dominant the Knicks were
No.
in all three of their closeout wins.
No, I
Like
mean,
winning all three of those games by 30 plus points. It's never been done. They've won 11 straight playoff games at this point now. Very few teams have reached that number.
I don't
Like,
think it's ever. I mean, they haven't lost this month. They haven't lost in the month of May. The last time they lost, it was in April. It was late
yeah.
April. Game would have been game 3.
No, I think that 11 wins in a row in the playoffs is I think I saw it's the third longest winning streak in the playoffs, because obviously the 17 Warriors, they won 15 in a row.
Yep.
The 0-1 Lakers, they won
Yep.
11 in a row before Iverson got them in game one. I think that there's one more team that
Yeah,
I'm
you're right.
missing in there. But yeah, like, and again, it's the New York Knicks,
That's the
one
thing.
of the prestige franchises in the NBA that has the most famous fans in the league, who the NBA smartly shows consistently. They have the world's most famous arena in the biggest city in the world. Like,
And that's the thing with the Knicks. series, I feel like, just with the entertainment value. You had the West series going on, and those games were great. The endings maybe weren't the best, games 2 through 6, but the first halves were great. You had two really good teams. And in the East, the games weren't great, but the entertainment value was still so high because watching the Knicks play well in MSG that's just like, it's a night. It's something you find yourself just enjoying. I at least I do. I can't help it.
No, I'm with you. The NBA is better when the Knicks are competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, you can't really argue against that. There's something about that arena, those colors, those fans, like that city, and just the idea of watching Wemby at MSG. I can't wait. But, like, for the most part, the Knicks were running teams off the floor, but, like, they did give us a classic game one.
Yep.
And I was not necessarily a fan of it because for my own selfish interests, I was hoping that the Cavs would make the NBA Finals because I would have found a way to get to a game. But like that comeback, it was like they exorcised some demons from last year when Halliburton did it to them. And at that point, when they win game one in the manner that they did, and I picked Knicks in 5 before that series anyway, but that was the series.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You knew at that point when they win game one the way they did, a 44-11 run in the fourth quarter and overtime, like it's over.
Dude, after that game, I had dreams of Larry Johnson and Allen Houston. That game, it brought the Knicks right back. It brought them right
you're
back.
You're gonna be getting like,
oh my, Charlie Ward's gonna get some airtime. Whew,
man.
Dude, yeah. I hope they bring the whole team. Like, I want Childs there. I want LJ there. Where's Canby? Sprewell and Ewing, they're always there. But can we get Charlie Ward there? We need Charlie Ward there.
I mean, they need to, like, they really should bring back everybody. Like, every former Knick should be like Jeremy Lin.
Yeah. So last night.
Your man Chris Duhon needs to be there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I told you they were talking about how they had, what did they have, like 13 point guards or something crazy in the last 13 years or something like that until Brunson started. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brunson definitely is the best point guard since Duhon. But when they showed Steven Adams at the OKC game last night, I was like, Jeff Van Gundy needs to be at this game. Like, he needs it because I was thinking, like, okay, Van Gundy's still a coach in the league. Could he not go?
Yeah.
If Steven Adams goes, like, let's bring Van Gundy back.
I mean, like,
let's bring Dante back. Bring DiVincenzo back.
Should be there.
Cast and all, just put him in a box, show him on the big screen. Maybe he's with Jay Wright. Like, the place would go bonkers.
Absolutely. No, that is one thing that, and we've seen it over and over throughout these postseasons. Like, these former players on both of these teams really do show up. We've seen Duncan,
the Spurs,
David Robinson and Ginobili and Pop at every one of these Spurs home games, and obviously the Knicks, in addition to just a murderer's row of celebrities with Chalamet and Ben Stiller and Spike and Tracy Morgan. You have all these former Knicks. It's going to be nostalgia overload. So in like the absolute best way possible.
Yep. I will say, and there was a clip earlier in the OKC Spurs series where they showed Duncan, or no, actually they showed Wemby and Mitch Johnson, and then they panned to Duncan and Pop, and that was amazing. For the first time, and this happens to me sometimes with Coach K. Like, I love John Shire. I'm happy he's the Duke's coach. But, like, occasionally during moments, I'm like, man, I really wish Coach K was still the coach. Mm-hmm. I really wish Pop was still coaching. Like, that, I really wish, for him, for his sake. Like, I wish that didn't, I wish he was still healthy. I'm happy he's obviously still around and he's there. But I love Pop.
By all accounts, like, very involved with the franchise still, which is great. And honestly, knowing Pop, if you were to ask him this, he would probably be like, "No, I'm very glad that Mitch Johnson
Right.
is getting this opportunity." I'm with you though. It would like Pop going for one more ring, and I've said this before. I feel like he's the best coach in NBA history. I know he doesn't have as many titles as Phil or Auerbach or maybe even Pat Riley. I think Riley has one more than him, but I think I adore Pop, and I think him being at the helm of that franchise and the same core being there the entire time, and his fingerprints are still on this team, like Keldon Johnson being a guy who played for Pop and was drafted by Pop and played for Pop at the Olympics. Like, no, it's great, and just seeing all of these characters again in the finals as these two teams are playing is going to be awesome. Where's your lean right now with the series?
So, I believe the Knicks would have been, actually, it sounds crazy, but I think they would have been favored if OKC would have won last night. Just with the health of OKC.
Especially with Caruso hurting his wrist.
Yep.
Late in that game.
Yep.
Like another guy that...
I do think the Spurs will be favored. I don't think it will be heavily, but
what do you think it is? Because I have the number.
Is it like 200? Like what?
It's minus 205.
205. So a decent underdog then. I think it is a competitive series though. And I am very interested, and the reason why I think the Spurs are favored, they're more talented, they have the best player. I think the Knicks match up with the Spurs better than the Spurs match up with the Knicks. And the reason I say that is I think if you're the Knicks, I'm very interested. I think OG guards Wemby. And
he did in most of their three.
Cat gets foul happy. So you could play Cat on, probably...
It'll be Castle, right?
It'd probably be Champagny, I'm going to say. I don't think you could play Cat on Castle. I would assume you would...
I just don't... I mean, it's tough. I mean, and this is the conversation that Mike Brown and his coaching staff is going to be having for the next 3 days. It's like, how do we cross-match here? Because do you want Cat guarding Castle, who's not as much of a shooter, but is just so relentless?
Yeah, I don't think you... I think you're getting Cat... Castle's getting to the paint on Cat a lot. And I think he's attacking him. Where I think you could kind of just have Cat try to close out on Champagny and, it's not like he runs off screens, really.
Right, he's more of a spot.
He's a set shooter. They run their pick and rolls. They have, that double high 4-5 action. And, they either get someone tagging Wemby so they hit, a skip pass or, Castle gets all the way to the lane and draws help, and he's kind of just open for a catch-and-shoot three. So I don't think that Cat will have to chase him around screens. But I think Cat will also spend time on Wemby. I think Mitchell Robinson could spend time on Wemby. I think you have Hart and you have Bridges, and they could, take the two of the top scorers. I think you'll see Brunson on Vassell. I'm interested though on who the Spurs match up with. If they put Wemby on Cat's just going to play on the perimeter the entire time, and you can't leave him. He's a very good 3-point shooter. They put him on Hart. Maybe that's the matchup. But Hart I think could win you a couple of games. He's shooting the ball decent percentage this playoff, so it's not like you're guarding Lou Dort. I think he's shooting almost 40% this playoff from three.
I would want to dig in because I haven't like rewatched these games or the highlights. I plan to before the final starts. My memory tells me that Wemby did spend a decent amount of time guarding Hart. You just want him on the weakest shooter, and Cat is not that. Yeah, I think that's probably the matchup. To your point, Hart is only shooting 30% from three in the playoffs, but that spiked up a little bit in the conference finals.
Yeah.
I think that's what you got to do. Now, you do that. What do you do with Cat? Are you okay with Champagny guarding him with that much of a size mismatch? Maybe because Cat just spends so much time on the perimeter, and it seems like doing that even more so throughout this playoff run where he's like kind of the hub of the offense.
Yeah.
At times. I assume then that Castle's going to be getting the Brunson assignment.
Sure.
Fox, you probably just put on Bridges. The Cell on Anunoby. And I think those are your matchups for San Antonio defensively.
I just feel like the Knicks have so much more firepower offensively than OKC did in this current year.
Yeah, especially with the way that the guys off the bench are playing. Like Shamet and McBride have just been playing so well and shooting the ball really well. I mean, Shamet shooting 60% from three, and McBride is shooting 43% in the playoffs on a combined 7 attempts per game. So, like, they're going to need that.
Yeah, and say Shamet continues that, I would, you're not surprised. He closed some games, and so then who's Wemby guard? Like, he's probably got to guard Cat. And that pulls him from the basket, and it lets, the Knicks at least have some hope for getting to the rim. I still think, again, the Spurs will be favored. I just think that the Knicks will hang around and make it a interesting series.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I told you this during the East Finals. Like, I think that the Knicks have a very real chance of winning the title.
Mm-hmm.
I would lean right now Spurs in 6.
Can I change? Go Spurs in 7. Are they going to win in MSG?
I think I'm trying to speak a Wemby
okay.
Classic into existence. I think that's what I'm doing. Spurs in 7 truthfully feels a little more accurate, but I wanna speak it.
It's the only arena I would say that for. It's the only, it's not like, oh, they're playing at home. It's the fact if the Knicks even get out to a decent start, that place is just going to be going bonkers.
No, I'm with you. I can't wait. I literally can't wait for the finals to start.
You know what, though, is he's such a sicko that he might love that. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. I really think that, if there's going to be a guy who's going to just go into that building and demolish it, it's going to be the guy that we just said is a perfect mix of LeBron and Kobe and Steph and Duncan. He's the guy built to do that.
Yeah.
And again, getting back to the point that we kind of started this episode on, the Spurs are the team built to do that because all of those guys are going to be unafraid, or at least I think.
I mean, based on last night, Harper at points took over in the fourth quarter. He hit that step back 3, and it was like, oh, this kid has no fear whatsoever. And
none.
It's this game 7, you're on the road against the defending champions, and it's to me it felt like they were they can't guard us. They're totally overmatched. So no, you're right. Maybe I'm predicting the Spurs. I was going to say 7. You may have talked me into 6. Who knows? I was trying to talk you out of 6, and you ended up talking me into 6. So.
Yeah, we both made our cases, and I don't know. Spurs in 6.5. Let's say.
Yeah.
big win for the NBA, obviously, because you're
Yep.
getting New York against Wemby. Additionally, big win for the NBA Cup. You
Yeah.
get an NBA Cup rematch
Yep.
in the NBA Finals. And, like, say what you want about the NBA Cup so far, but, like, we've seen some high-quality teams who have either competed for an NBA, like, Lakers Pacers, I think, was year one.
Yep.
Pacers lose in the East Finals. Lakers, obviously, LeBron, AD. Thunder Bucks, year two. Thunder go on to win the
Yep.
title. We get Spurs Knicks, year three. They're rematch in the NBA Finals. Like, I don't know. I do think that maybe there is a slight spike in interest in the NBA Cup next year, just because.
And if you look
how
at the
it played out.
games, if you look at the games when you watch the NBA Cup, they are played differently. I'm not saying they're
It
played
feels
like
heightened.
it's not playoff basketball quite yet, but it's certainly heightened, and especially in the semis and the finals. And for a young team, and that's what we've seen, it seems like it almost gives them an opportunity to skip a step, like because you get that learning experience in season where like Indiana was very young and then they made a nice little playoff run after that. OKC was very young, they learned from that, they go on to win the final. So I think it's very valuable for a young team to really go for it. So
Vin, that's a really good point. And so much of the discourse with the Spurs this year has been, are they too young? I wonder, like, people can mock the NBA Cup if they want, but like maybe you're right. Maybe that's true of the NBA Cup, where like just those few games where it is like playoff-esque atmosphere in the regular season, maybe you learn a little.
yeah, because like when people are like, "Oh, you need to lose in the playoffs," the reason they're saying that is like you need to understand the importance of every possession. Like you can't go into a series and take off a box out because if the other team gets an offensive rebound, they could hit a three and that could swing the whole series. You do get that type of effort in the playoffs, and the Spurs lost this year. I'm sorry, in the in season, and the Spurs lost. So like Mitch Johnson going into the playoffs could talk to that, and they could feel that. Like the players have already felt like, okay, I need to be on. Yeah, mock it, but the proof is there. Like we've gotten 4 teams now, 3 of which were very young. So it makes sense.
No, that very good point. I hadn't thought about it. Anything else that we haven't hit on that you wanna hit on?
I will say, got two.
I'm skimming through my notes here trying to see. Go ahead.
2 questions for you.
Okay.
Outside of the 2 teams that made the finals, what team or player had the most success or like put them on another level going into next year? And then 2, what player outside of Brunson and Wemby impact the finals the most? What's your prediction?
Okay. I'm going to start with your first question. And my answer to that is Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
I felt like he was sensational
He was great.
in the playoffs, and the rest of his supporting cast, namely Jalen Duren, kind of let him down.
Oh, dude, that Pistons team. Whew.
I think that the Pistons need to think long and hard about the kind of team that you want to surround Cade with, because I think Cade is a guy.
Yeah.
I think that he
Got a lot of Luka in him, to me. But
some Luka. I've told you before, I feel like he's bigger Brandon Roy.
yeah.
Which Brandon Roy is a guy we both adore.
Yep.
I feel like Cade coming out of the playoffs, like he's a top 8 guy, no matter how you slice it. So I felt like even though they're the 1 seed, they get bounced in round 2. I feel like he's kind of a big winner of the playoffs. Um, is there anybody else that you had in mind with that?
No, that's great. I always fall in love with Ant, but I don't think he did anything different this year than what he has done. So I don't think
Right.
they're in a very weird spot because they're such a solid team and they have this really young. You just got no chance. But no, I think Cade's the right pick, and I think even more importantly, it hopefully gives Detroit a bigger window into their future, and they could kind of pivot off of some things.
Hmm.
I think they're going to max Duran in this offseason. I'm not sure that's the right move, but hopefully they can negotiate him down a little bit. So yeah, I think Cade is probably the right choice there. And maybe LeBron. like,
Look, LeBron is never the wrong answer to any question. You're right. Like, and I think we might have talked about this offline. Like, even though that like Houston was kind of shorthanded, that series like will get lost in history. But like the play that he had, I think it was Game 3 when he strips Reed Shepherd from behind, and then hits the game tying 3, and they win in overtime. Like, just another feather in the cap of LeBron to be doing that.
He created a teammate to score 5 points in the playoff. Like him and his son scored 10 straight. Like that's all his DNA. He did that.
Yeah.
He gets, I think, at least 2.5 of Brownie's points on his career points. Like,
no, that's a great call. That is a great call. Now to your second question. You said besides Wemby and Brunson, who's the most important player?
Or who makes the biggest impact? Not who's the most important going in, but just prediction. At the end of the year, or at the end of the series, you're like, oh, they won because of the play of this guy.
Well, because I'm picking
and you could
Spurs,
pick you could pick from both. So like hypothetically,
okay. So I do think that if the Knicks are going to win this series, it needs to be Cat. And I don't know what that looks like for Cat. I don't know if that means it's a big scoring series for him. I don't know if it means he's doing the like distributing thing where he's up near 10 assists per game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it is he is getting Wemby in foul trouble, just playing physical near the basket, because for as good of a shooter as he is really physical around the basket too. I kind of feel like you need something big out of him in this series if you're going to win the title. Spurs, maybe it's a little prisoner of the moment, but and as much as I want to say Castle because I'm a UConn guy, I think I'd go with Harper.
Yep, me too.
Just because I do feel like his ceiling is a little bit higher than Castle's, and he was just fucking fearless in this Game 7 and a couple other times throughout the playoffs where it's been like he comes into the game and is like, yeah, I got it. We're good.
Yeah. When he comes in, you feel very comfortable when he has the ball. Whether it's
and it shouldn't be that way for a rookie point guard.
No, and the way he plays too, like he's not like, hitting a bunch of threes, bullying grown men at the basket, and so I think Harper. I'm gonna go a little prisoner in the moment, and I also am very quirky with my Knicks players, and who I appreciate. But I feel like if they can get a Danny Green-esque finals out of Shamet, it could really swing the series. Like, if he could stay on a burner and he's just consistently hitting 3 to 4 threes a game, that makes the Knicks really hard to guard. So I'll say he needs to be big. Obviously, I guess maybe I'm just expecting more out of Cat. So, like,
sure.
If you get your normal Cat stuff, and then you get Shamet on a burner, you got a real chance.
I mean, if Shamet and McBride can continue shooting the way that they are, and it seems like when those two check into a game, anytime a shot goes up at MSG, like, I mean, especially with McBride, the whole crowd's yelling deuce at the same time. And it's like,
just based on like the shot diet that I thought the OKC got, I think they're going to probably guard the Knicks similar to how they guarded Shea with Brunson.
Yeah.
Like Brunson and Shea are very similar in how they get their points. They live off mid-range, they get to the paint, you know, they run a lot of ball screens, and if you trap the ball screen or if you start to load up toward Brunson, I thought OKC got decent looks. Their guys just weren't making them. And if the Knicks, you know, role players could shoot at 40%, it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, I mean, right now throughout the playoffs, the Knicks as a team are shooting 40% on the dot from three-point range. So if they can actually manage to replicate that in the finals, that's kind of part of the recipe. I think that they need to be at that number to win the series.
Yeah, like if you could get like a Brunson game, if you can get a Cat game, if you can get a team game where you hit 18 threes in the first half like they did, you know, earlier in the playoffs, that gets you to 7. Like,
yeah,
possible. Now, on the other hand, you might just get 4 straight Wemby games, and it's like, well, what could you do? So it's set up. It's set up. Got a beautiful, you know, city for it. Like New York's the perfect place. The only bummer of this all, I've adored NBC, and I'm a little upset that we're going back to ESPN.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. The dopamine and nostalgia hit that I got last night when Round Ball Rock started playing right before Game 7 started.
And the intro when they started talking about all the Game 7s, and oh my goodness.
I had chills.
Yeah.
Like, ESPN just doesn't hit it from a production perspective like NBC does.
They're going to point out how Charles thinks girls in San Antonio are ugly, and it's just like you've been running back the same hits for the last 12 years, and you're going to talk about yourselves, and Shaq's going to say how he could have dominated Wemby. And it's like, could we just talk about what we're watching? So I'm hopeful. Maybe they don't do that. I doubt it, but that's my prediction before Game 1. We get one Chuck, San Antonio girls are ugly, and one Shaq, I could have dominated Wemby.
Also on the bingo card, I'd throw in Chuck yelling Ginobili as loud as he could.
Yeah.
And also on the bingo card, one Stephen A. Smith cameo that nobody wants.
Yep. So upset about that, but overall I think that, you know, the partnership with Prime and NBC this year was great. So a couple of claps for NBC as they end their year. Really excited for that partnership, though.
No, it's been great. I do hope that they find a way to get the finals back on NBC at some point. Anything else that we got to hit? We crammed a lot into about an hour.
I guess do we want to do final predictions? You got Spurs in 6?
I'll lock in Spurs in 6. Wemby he's already treated us with a lot of the, like, I've arrived moments and games, and we could track those, but I think that Game 6, MSG, that's the perfect place for, like, the official coronation of this is the Wemby era now.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with Spurs in 7. And I think I'm gonna go with Brunson steals a game, the team hits a bunch of threes in a game, and then they find to win Game 6 somehow. But I'm super excited for it. I think, you know, it's great for the league because you're gonna have a bunch of people watching, and they're gonna get to know Harper. They're gonna get to know Castle, and you're gonna get new stars. So super excited for it. I got Spurs in 7. You got Spurs in 6. We'll make sure to keep.
Also, hey, prop to us for we both picked the Knicks to win the East before the season started.
Yep.
Like, let's give ourselves some flowers.
And we were early on the Wemby train, and he didn't win MVP, but he may have earned the title as best player ever, maybe ever, but best player in the world.
He's getting there. No, we both picked Wemby MVP. He finished 3rd in the voting. We both picked Wemby Defensive Player of the Year. Won that unanimously. You had the Spurs from going no playoffs to the 3 seed. I had them going from no playoffs to the 4 seed. So we forecasted them getting into the mix here. But yeah, it's all happening very fast. I do anticipate that the TV ratings for this finals is going to produce a pretty substantial number.
Oh, yeah.
That is great for the NBA. Very happy that we got to hop on here and kind of touch on the playoffs a little bit when we've left this modern flame barely just a couple sparks there, but we relit it. I hope that we could get back to it during the finals to kind of catch up on where things are going. And obviously, post-finals, we'll do something to recap the season, the series as a whole, and kind of look ahead to what should be a pretty interesting summer, too, with a loaded draft. The implementation of a new draft lottery.
Yep.
And teams likely trying to figure out how the hell are we going to compete with Wemby? How are we going to compete with this Knicks team that just seems to be peaking at the right time? It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we'll be here side by side with multiple stops in our recording, Riverside. Get it together, but we'll be here to cover it.
Yes, sir.
All right, my man. It was great catching up with you. We'll talk soon. Go Spurs, go Knicks.
Let's get that Jeff Van Gundy appearance in.
Let's get that Chris Duhon appearance.
Yeah.
Let's get everyone. Rasho Nesterovic.
Yep.
Get out there. Let's just get all the guys.
Sheed.
I'm ready.
Sheed. Bring back Sheed. For the campfire.
Yeah, you had a cup of coffee with the Knicks. It always comes back to Rashid.
That's right.
All right, my man. Take care. Enjoy your Sunday. Gear up for game 1 on Wednesday night.
That's right. All right, man. See ya.